Hey, Jeff Peff here with a request for composers. This is for a testimonial film for our Hit Record on TV episode regarding guns. The film is narrated entirely by Captain Claire, who tells the story of a tragic mass murder in her home country of Australia. And the story is set against animated picture describing her words visually, which is being created by our community. And I'm here to get us started working on the score for this piece. The narration covers a lot of ground and it's very dense overall, so we're not really looking for themes and may not even be looking for melodies per se. Probably more like ambient, flowing chord beds without too much motion or changing textures. That's because the core music needs for this piece are very minimal. Now, there are natural story points which dictate some sense of starts and stops and texture changes. I've made some notes with suggestions regarding those, as well as other details in suggesting instrumentation and parts. As for instrumentation, this type of score can obviously be done with synthesizer, pad-type sounds with slow attacks, but not necessarily. Could also be keyboard sounds like pianos and electric pianos. That said, multi-layered guitars can also serve well for this, doing volume swells with a pedal or the volume knob, or playing through reverbs and delays. And then there's always string and wind instruments, which you could play in multiple overdubs to form chords and textures. The technical considerations here are interesting too. Given that we may want to add to our basic layer once we've found it, I'd like to request that while we likely won't end up with any rhythmic parts or highly structured melodies that imply a tempo, that you give some consideration to bar lines and tempos by doing your work to a click if you can. That way, if your work goes forward as our basis, we'll have a common language to allow for making up a chart for others to add to it. And even an ambient, rhythmless score like we're inviting here is indeed best mapped out with tempos and bar lines beforehand, even if they're ultimately sort of nonsensical. This actually makes it easier for you to conceive of sections and starts and stops rather than chasing yourself around and plunking down chords hoping you hit the spot. But if that's too weird for you, you can just freewheel it too. At the very least though, we'll appreciate it if you can keep in mind what chords you're playing, since we might be asking you for a rough chord chart to share with the community later. So please see my text notes in the collaboration for further details, and you'll also find a link to the picture we'll be working with, and I look forward to hearing your contributions. Our deadline for this is 7 days from today, so let's have at it.